يعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلوات وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أسعد الله أيامنا وأيامكم on the auspicious occasion, the birthday anniversary of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Alhamdulillah, we throughout the year try as much as we can to cover the important topic of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and how we are able to engage in a positive, good relationship with the Ahlul Bayt, recognizing their status and understanding them better and better. But of course, that's not going to be of any use if we don't implement that in our lives and we don't have a better understanding of how we are able to use Ahlul Bayt in our practical life. With the boys, anyone that I can't see from Kahi onwards, please make sure that you come forward. Zainab, sit somewhere else, please. Unfortunately, because of the renovations that are happening, it's not really convenient the way the layout is, but inshallah soon when things are changed, everyone will be back to how we were before and more comfortable. Who's behind you, Jojo, on this side? Again, as we need to remind everyone, because I'm also the MC, respect for the program. Make sure that you do not use your mobile phone and also not talk to anyone next to you as well. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. One of the things that we obviously tend to struggle with is finding ourselves in this world, especially as traditional Muslims, Shia Muslims, living in a Western society, living in Australia, even though we are very happy to call this country our home, and we have many privileges that we do not have back where we are from. But at the same time, there are many things that go against what we believe in as Muslims, whether it be our moral system, whether it be our belief system, or anything else. Please don't wazza' water, because then the kids are going to be doing these things. Please, let wazza'un al-may. And so it's really important for us to navigate ourselves in this society. We could even say that even back in the Middle East, it's really, really difficult to preserve our faith, to preserve our identity, to understand who we are. And so the most important thing for us to do is recognize ourselves. Now I'm going to explain what this means, knowing yourself, and the Arabic expression is ma'rifatul nafs, and this is of course something that has been mentioned in many occasions in the Holy Quran and in many ahadith from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. In particular, Imam Ali salamullahi alayh, as I will demonstrate tonight. Seeing that Imam Ali is the perfect being, al-insan al-kamil, after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, there was no existing male that met all of the requirements of leadership in affairs of deen and dunya equal to that of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Anyone that you come across, whether they be the khulafa, whether they even be the companions of Rasulullah, did not in any way have the same status or level or credibility of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And therefore, it's these kind of occasions where we need to remember how privileged we are that we are affiliated, that we follow the school of Imam Ali alayhi salam. But how much we need to equip ourselves with knowledge of Ahlul Bayt and knowledge of Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayh. This is, of course, extremely, extremely important. When you want to understand why you are a Shi'i, why you follow Ahlul Bayt, why is it so necessary and important for you to learn the history of Ahlul Bayt, all of these, of course, come with a little bit of effort and struggle. And so Ahlul Bayt, one of the things that they stressed on very much is you recognizing yourself. So much so that Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says the best ma'rifah, afdalul ma'rifah, the best form of knowledge and understanding and recognition is that you know your own self. Why? As we know, when it comes to your nafs, if you don't control your nafs, then of course it might lead you, it will certainly lead you astray. What does the Quran say? وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا تَزْكِيَةُ النَّفْسِ. If you, this nafs of yours and what exists in it, this faculty of your nafs, if you don't somehow hold on to its reins, then you're either going to be victorious and have victory. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. If you purify it, if you keep it pure, then you will be righteous and you will be victorious. وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. But if you allow it to roam on its own, then of course you are going to be in loss, because your nafs is something that needs to be under control. If someone was to, especially if it's Ramadan and you're fasting, roll out a very long sufra of variety of food, your eyes will say to yourself, I'm going to eat all of it. But you physically won't be able to do that, even though your nafs has no control. And that's why it's always very important for us to take control of our desires, our lusts, our inclinations, what we see, what we say, what we do, what we hear, must always be under control. So, when it comes to your nafs, it's all about ma'rifatun nafs, it's all about self-knowledge. Do we mean here nafs as in your identity? Give me the, what's his name please? It's in the bag, I think. Do we mean your identity, your ethnicity, your date of birth? Is that what we mean by knowing yourself? No. Knowing yourself, your nafs, your spirit, your soul, that which exists within you, which is different to your identity in who you are. Your nafs is what you are. You could either, as Imam Ali alayhi salam says, your nafs could either lead you to be lower than that of an animal or higher than that of an angel. Lower than that of an animal and higher than that of an angel. Why? Because angels were created with aql and no desire. And animals were created with desire and no aql. Human beings were created with both aql and desire. And therefore, if you are able to suppress your lusts and overcome them by making sure you use your inner Imam. What is your inner Imam? Your aql, your reason. Then you will be better than angels, as Imam Ali alayhi salam says. But if you allow your nafs to roam and pursue desire and everything else, then you are going to be worse than an animal. As the Quran itself says, that these people, they're like livestock. بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ sabila, or they are rather even worse than animals. And so, when we're talking about your nafs, we're not talking about your identity, we're talking about what you are, your faculty of your very self. Yes, we understand that these could become very difficult. It could be need a little bit of a struggle, but most importantly, you are making effort in recognizing that it's going to take a while. Ya ayyuhal insan, innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqih. O human being, you're going to be struggling towards your Lord until you meet him. That level of liqa'ullah can only happen if you have gone through that kadh. You have gone through that struggle of overcoming what it is that you need to do. Whatever's there in front of you doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have it. Doesn't mean that you need to eat it. Doesn't mean that you need to say it or do it. That is all about the control of your nafs, which we call jihadul nafs. Why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he says, A'da aduwuk, your worst enemy, nafsuka allati bayna jambayk, that very nafs that is within you. He's your worst enemy, your worst enemy. So look at these. These are samples of hadiths from Imam Ali, where he says, أفضل المعرفة معرفة الإنسان نفسه. غاية المعرفة, the objective, the peak of معرفة, أن يعرف المرء نفسه, is that you know yourself. نال الفوز الأكبر, you will gain the greatest victory. من ظفر بمعرفة النفس, whoever is successful in knowing himself. من جهل نفسه, if you don't know yourself, بغير نفسه أجهل, how are you going to know other people? Our problem is we think we know other people, but yet we still haven't even recognized our own selves, which is of course very, very difficult. In regards to, as I said, your identity, there are all these combination of things that you are struggling with. And why do I keep on saying struggling? There are things I don't think that I need to repeat, but just for the sake of this reminding of ourselves, when it does come to your identity and you needing to understand who you are, unfortunately, some people still find that very, very difficult. You'll find some people are people pleasers, which basically means what they do, what they say, what they wear, how they wear it, is not for themselves, but for other people, to please other people. And of course, that becomes very, very difficult for a person, because this person, he or she, becomes insecure in what it is that they are. Because their one and only objective is always to make sure that other people are pleased with them, that other people praise them, that other people don't criticize them. So of course, this is most certainly going to destroy and damage your own self-esteem. And that's why when it comes to asking yourself this question of who you are, do you ask yourself this question? Or do you ask other people who you are? Or do you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who you are? Who is going to tell you who you are? Here we're talking about identity. We're not talking about your nafs. We're talking about identity. Your personality, your shakhsiyah, what you're developing, how you see yourself. Do you value yourself? Are you doing what you are doing for the sake of pleasing God or pleasing yourself or pleasing others? Do you understand the differences between your emotions, your feelings, your mood, or your social life, your social interaction, your social duties, or your intellect, your reason, your aql and ta'aqqul? If someone was to ask you, why are you doing this? And you don't have a sensible reason as to why you are doing it. Have you succumbed to your emotions or to social pressure? What we usually do, what we usually see. Can you pick him up and throw him outside, please? What we usually, Haidar, what we usually see is people, in most cases, unfortunately, people, where are you going? People succumbing, people giving in either to their emotions because they don't have that strength in controlling their emotions. And of course, emotions lead to a lot of very dangerous things as well. We're going to be talking about anger. But if a person doesn't have control of their emotions, sometimes, Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If a person doesn't have control of their emotions, sometimes they say things or they do things that are very hurtful. That damage is irreversible. I wish you weren't born. You're a failure and you'll never get anywhere in life. You're a waste of oxygen. What else is there that people could say that is maybe, if it's serious, depends on the context, of course, that is irreversible in damage, unfortunately. And some people, they say this to people older than them. Sometimes some people even say these kind of things to their own parents. How evil is that? How cruel is that? Why? Because this person is insecure, emotionally insecure. When you look at bullies, do you think when you see a bully, you say the bully is, see, I told you, Ali? Remember what I said? A bully is someone who is good and strong or not. A bully, of course, is someone who's covering up for something that they don't have. And that's why they bully other people. And here, unfortunately, we can see that if you don't have control over your emotions, you won't have control over your anger, being angry, and things that you say. Because as Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they say that what comes out of your mouth, you can't withdraw anymore. You can't retract it. It's gone, that's it. Even if you say sorry, the damage is done. Even if you say sorry, the damage is unfortunately done. And therefore you have to be very, very careful with what you say. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, a aqil person, a rational person, is someone whose tongue is after their aql, which means they think and then they say. Whereas a foolish person is someone whose tongue is before their aql, which means they say and then they think about what it is that they said, which is, of course, unfortunately, what we see many people do. This is why we always need to remind ourselves that we need to, Shunu Hussein, think before we speak. Isn't that right? Where are you going again? And so these are the responsibilities that we have. And that's why, as it says here, to know yourself, that is the biggest challenge. Now, of course, we've got all these things that we are experiencing. The good reporter. And bad salam farmande. And shortcomings. That's why you can see that some people, they put on a face that they don't have. We're not talking about cake faces. What's a cake face? What's a cake face? No. There's these women that put on so much makeup you can't even see their own faces. You remember what we were talking about last I think it was last week or the week before, that plastic surgery, huh, Ali? I think you're a bit too, yeah. What were we saying the other week? We said this, I think it was last week or the week before, that we can see that if you were to compare Muslim women, unfortunately, Middle Eastern women with Western women, who wears more makeup and who's more conscious of the way they dress? Middle Eastern women, Muslim women. And that's very shameful, isn't it? Especially when she knows that she's not supposed to be going out that with that particular way. Especially if she knows that she's voluntarily doing haram. She's not going to get anywhere. And that's why we talk about masks. Here, of course, we don't really mean by masks as in what you're trying to conceal. Makeup is one example. Pleasing, that's what we're talking about. Right? That Mr. Know-it-all, someone who thinks that they know everything because they want to conceal their insecurities. Or the nice person, they're not really nice, right? They're not really nice, but they just want to please those who are around them. Because sometimes you have to know when to say stop. Sometimes when you have to know when to say no, right? Especially if it's affecting you. Doesn't mean that you be cruel. Doesn't mean that you be selfish. But you have to always remember that you need to have balance in life. What about Mr. Bully? What is Mr. Bully trying to conceal and cover? Ali Genji, are you a bully?
No.
You sure you're not?
No.
Really? All right. What's Mr. Bully? What does a bully do?
So what a bully does is make fun of you and pick on you.
And say bad things. Do you say bad things to anyone?
No.
Sometimes.
It's because
Do you or you do?
because their feelings are better than you.
Yeah.
Because you're not that strong.
Yeah. What about you? What do you? Are you good? You never say bad things to anyone?
I am strong, but I don't do anything bad.
You're strong, huh?
Yeah, only strong. I'm Mr. Strong.
You're Mr. Strong, huh? All right. A bully is someone who, of course, again, hides their insecurity. What about a joker? Someone who's always joking and mocking and making fun and never takes anything serious. Didn't I ask you to sit somewhere else, Khubayna? Sit over here. Don't sit next to Jenna. No, you are. Sit next to Dajun. Jenna, no talking. Sisi, no talking. What was it? What was the question that I asked? Who put their hand up? Reporter, what we want to say? Someone who never takes anything serious, someone who's always maskhara, someone who always jokes and mocks. What is that person trying to conceal? Yes, we know that being humorous is good. It's a good thing. Al-mu'min marihun mazih. A believer, a mu'min, is humorous, is joyful, is humorous. But at the same time, Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, they say, إِيَّاكُمْ وَكَثْرَةُ الْمِزَاحِ فَإِنَّهُ يُذْهِبْ بِمَاءِ الْوَجْهِ. Beware of excessive joking, because it takes away your self-value. Ma'ul wajh, or as they say in Farsi, abru, means your self-value, your self-dignity, and your self-respect. And that's why you need to know how you are dealing with all of these things. When it comes to your body, your physical appearance, don't be too obsessed with your physical appearance. Accept with how God has created you. Does that mean you neglect yourself and you don't care about what you eat, about what you do, and you don't have a healthy life? Absolutely not. You must have a healthy life. You must be conscious about your body, but not so much that you are obsessed with gymming because you want to get how many packs? Or not 18? Or not because you are obsessed because you want others to say, oh wow, bah, but because you know that that's good for you as a person. Your thoughts, your thought process, making sure that you preserve your thoughts, your ideas, what you think about, don't pollute it, keep it pure, keep your intentions pure. And of course, your emotions, which we have already spoken about that. If you're not careful about all of these things that are within yourself, then of course, you're not even going to believe that there is a purpose for God creating you. You're not even going to see any value with what it is that you are doing. So much so that you are even going to reject the very meeting back up with your Lord. As the ayah says here, بَلْ هُمْ بِلِقَاءِ رَبِّهِمْ كَافِرُونَ بَلْ هُمْ بِلِقَاءِ رَبِّهِمْ كَافِرُونَ. What does kafirun here mean? It means they are rejecting. Kafara here means they're rejecting that meeting back up with their Lord. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but by the way, يَتَوَفَّاكُمْ مَلَكُ الْمَوْتِ الَّذِي وُكِّلَ بِكُمْ. The angel of death will be taking your soul. Anyone has any duct tape, please? Haydar, uskut. Doesn't care. Haydar, Haydar. تعال. Okay, what does this say, Mr. Hamadani? Impotent. Improvement. Very good. How? Khair. Okay, who can read this for me? Yes, reporter. Very good. And we also mentioned about balance here. They were talking about knowing yourself. All right? Hussein, read this one. And what's that? Planning. Okay, so that's the output. No, that's the input, that's the output. Sorry, that should be other way round. Sorry about that. Input, output. Time. What others want? Confidence. What? Ridat, Sadiq, take over.
Humility, your outer self, your real inner self, your words, your actions, your praise,
What does that say? Criticizing.
criticizing,
Promises. Very good. Thank you very much. So, this is all to do with having, of course, as we said, balance in our lives, which is, of course, extremely, extremely important. Now we talk about what are the qualities that we need to have. Seeing that knowing yourself is so important, seeing that ma'rifatul nafs is so important, seeing that we need to make those struggles in adjusting ourselves in the best way. I knew that was going to happen. Pick that up, Zainab. Yeah. Seeing that, what was I saying? Huh? Porter qualities. Seeing that you're going to be making struggles. Seeing that, take him outside, please. Take him outside. Give him to the neighbor. Give him some medicine, sleeping medicine or something. وَخَا طَلَّعَ برا. So Musa, alhamdulillah, Musa, it didn't come. So هذا صار بمكانه. Good. What was, we have some little kids at the back as well? Or making noise? Is that you, Saidi? Or Kahi? Okay, qualities that are extremely important for us to, of course, develop and nurture and improve and enhance and increase, seeing that we need to recognize ourselves and seeing that we need to understand what we need to, of course, be doing for that continuous, ongoing progress in our lives, which is, of course, very important. Again, being inspired by Ahlul Bayt, being inspired by our role model, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali alayhi salam. There is a very big responsibility that you have on your shoulders. The privilege of being a follower of Imam Ali comes with many, many responsibilities. And therefore, the expectation that you need to have for yourselves needs to be very, very high. You need to have high standards for yourself. And that's why these are simple things that I'm sure all of you are familiar with, but when are you going to activate them in your lives? Honesty, responsibility, courage, concern and respect for others, good health, and being a good citizen, just being an overall good, decent person. Make sure you're reading all these explanations that I've given. I'm sure all of them are obvious, but clearly we need to remind ourselves every once in a while of how we are as far as our progress is concerned. Al-mu'min mir'atu akhihi al-mu'min. A believer is the reflecting mirror of a fellow believer. And therefore, we have that duty and that responsibility to remind ourselves and to remind others as well. And this is why when you develop that strong self, keep him outside, please. Outside, around the corner. 7-Eleven. Outside. You see? He's distracting everyone. Please, can you take him outside, please? Thank you. Thank you. Haydar. Haydar. Doesn't care. He's not sleepy. He's just being cheeky and naughty. He's being a wakih. A strong self is, of course, someone who has good direction, someone who knows where they're going, someone who has clear goals and objectives, an ambitious person, someone who is switched on, not easily influenced by those who are around them. Their influence is always good on others. Ganji. The influence is always good on others, and of course, always making sure that they stay on the right track all the time in the positive way. And this is why when it comes to your primary steps, you're always going to make sure that you have a clear direction, that you develop skills, skill of patience. Remember when I said we're going to be talking about a little bit about anger, controlling your emotions? Patience is, of course, the most virtuous characteristic that everyone needs to have, except for me on a Friday night with Haydar and with Ali Ganji, second time. Zero patience with you because I said so. It's not camp anymore. Third time, you're going to get kicked out. Ibrahim standing there to bash you. He can't? He can or he can't? Good. Perseverance. Yeah, stand there, Ibrahim, stand there. Good. You're not scared? Oh, how about Allah? You scared of Allah? You scared of God? Oh, good. Yeah, right. Yeah, I am. Very. Are you scared of your wife? Skill of perseverance. To persevere. What does perseverance mean? Yes. What was your name? Mustafa. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Yeah, Mustafa. What does perseverance mean? I think that's very good. Consistency, very, very important. You have an ambition in life. You make sure that you reach that, of course, ambition. And this is why, finally, I'm going to be reading these very, very quickly. What Imam Ali says, and there are literally hundreds of ahadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam that speak about ma'rifatul nafs. Why did Imam Ali stress so much about recognizing yourself? You all know these dramas that were happening during the time of when the Holy Prophet ﷺ departed from this world, and people, instead of following in the footsteps of Rasulullah and pledging allegiance to Imam Ali, the rightful leader, the rightful successor, the rightful Khalifa, people who didn't even know who they were followed, unfortunately, in the wrong footsteps, because their judgment was clouded, their emotions overtook everything, their social influence because of others forcing them into doing things, overcame everything. So the last thing they thought of was, let me think with my own independent aql. And that's why it's so dangerous, isn't it? If you're not thinking independently with your reasoning and with your intellect, you're going to go with the flow. You're going to start saying, I don't know if I identify myself as a dolphin or as a frog. You're going to start saying things like, oh yeah, I am this or I am that. And all these other things that unfortunately I can't speak about. I'm sure all of you know. And that's why we're in a critical stage where if we don't recognize our own selves, how are we going to be able to have that right direction in life? How are you going to recognize God? Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Man arifa nafsahu faqad arifa rabbah. When you know yourself, you are going to be acquainted and you are going to know your Lord. من لم يعرف نفسه بعد عن سبيل النجاة. If you don't know yourself, you are going to distance yourself. You're going to go further away from the path of salvation. And that's what we see some people do. They fall off the track. They fall off the track. It's good if they come back, very good. All of that will be forgiven and forgotten. But unfortunately, if you keep on going off the track, it's highly unlikely that you will come back because you still don't know your nafs. Okay, أكثر الناس معرفة لنفسه أخوفهم لربه. The more you are acquainted with yourself, the more you will fear your Lord. أعظم الحكمة معرفة الإنسان نفسه. The greatest of wisdom is that you know your own self. من عرف نفسه كان لغيره أعرف. Yani if you know yourself, you are going to you are going to know more others. كان لغيره أعرف. Was that a good translation, Kahi? Thank you. من جهل نفسه أهملها. What does that mean? Who can translate that for me? Nobody? Shino. Whoever doesn't know themselves, they will. What's ahmala mean? Huh? Who said that? He's scared. Why are you scared? Yeah. Didn't we just talk about courage? Ya Sayyid Nisar. من جهل نفسه أهملها. They will, of course, neglect their نفس. والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. Now we will have a tawashih, nasheed recited by our Sayyid Maytham, inshaAllah. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. يا آل بيت رسول الله حبكم، يا آل بيت رسول الله حبكم فرض من الله في القرآن أنزله، يكفيكم من عظيم الفخر أنكم من لم يصل عليكم لا صلاة له. اسمع المستهل واحفظ رحم الله والديك. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر، باسم الله ورسوله. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. هاك اخذي العهد هاك دنيا وآخرة وياك باسم الله ورسوله. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. هاك اخذي العهد هاك دنيا وآخرة وياك باسم الله ورسوله. يلا وياي شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. هاك اخذي العهد هاك دنيا وآخرة وياك باسم الله ورسوله. الباري من كون الآدم، الباري من كون الآدم. Stop clapping for a bit. الباري من كون الآدم وجعل بهالكون آية. أخذ جبرائيل قبضة من التراب بضي الهداية واعجن بماي الولاية وبيك مختص الولاية. آدم من الحكمة، آدم من الحكمة انولد وإحنا على ذاك العهد نمشي بعقيدة ومعتقد من المبدأ للنهاية. حبك يا علي يزكي عملنا، حبك يا علي يزكي عملنا بالدارين ويحقق أملنا باسم الله ورسوله. حبك يا علي يزكي عملنا بالدارين ويحقق أملنا باسم الله ورسوله. وحلينا بثناياك دنيا وآخرة وياك باسم الله ورسوله. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. هاك اخذي العهد هاك دنيا وآخرة وياك باسم الله ورسوله. يا علي يا علي يا علي يا علي يا علي حكمة ولائك فرج المخلوق أجمع. أنبياء ورسل بيها وعالم العلوي تمتع. من الحوت انجدت يونس والسفينة نوح مصنع. يا علي وربك قدرك بشمعة محمد نورك وبأمر دينه بصرك وانت مبدأ وانت مرجع. وبمسراك يا حيدر سرينا، وبمسراك يا حيدر سرينا. خل يشهد رسول الله علينا باسم الله ورسوله. نحيا ونموت بحماك دنيا وآخرة وياك باسم الله ورسوله. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. هاك اخذي العهد هاك دنيا وآخرة وياك باسم الله ورسوله. يا علي يا علي يا علي يا علي يا علي صورة ولائك نور ومعلي ضحاها. وين اللي يضاهيك وينه والحسد عين عماها. أرد نشده وخل يقلي نار نمرود اشطفاها. نورك يطفي المسعرة وفاضل الطينة الطاهرة بحماك دنيا وآخرة وانت ما تقطع رجاها. واحنا يا علي فاضل الطينة، واحنا يا علي فاضل الطينة. ونحبك على سنة نبينا باسم الله ورسوله، مشغوفين بهواك دنيا وآخرة وياك باسم الله ورسوله. شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله، شي يقول القلب تسمع يا حيدر باسم الله ورسوله. هاك اخذي العهد هاك دنيا وآخرة وياك باسم الله باسم الله ورسوله. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. يلا حيدر. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. حب علي فوز الشيعي غدا، حب علي فوز الشيعي غدا، فامدد لي في يوم حساب يدا، وانقذني من نار جحيم وهل رمت شفيعا غير إمام الهدى. إن صلاتي ثم صيامي إذا إن صلاتي ثم صيامي إذا لم يشفع لي حيدر ضاعت سدى. يشهد ربي أن بروحي له حبا دوما قلبي فيه شدا. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. يلا وياي. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي
مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا
علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. حار بشخصك يا حيدرة البشر، حار بشخصك يا حيدرة البشر، حار بشخصك يا حيدرة البشر، هتفت بمديحك مولاي السوار. نورك من أنوار الله انتثار، ملأ الدنيا غطى نور القمر. نفسك نفس الهادي طه الأغار، نفسك نفس الهادي طه الأغار، وبك اكتمل الدين وعم الظفر. ذكرك خالد حبك شاهد علي، ذكرك خالد حبك شاهد علي. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. حار بشخصك يا حيدرة البشر، حار بشخصك يا حيدرة البشر، هتفت بمديحك مولاي السوار. نورك من أنوار الله انتشر، ملأ الدنيا غطى نور القمر. نفسك نفس الهادي طه الأغار، نفسك نفس الهادي طه الأغار، وبك اكتمل الدين وعم الظفر. ذكرك خالد حبك شاهد علي، ذكرك خالد حبك شاهد علي. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. أخوتها نهني الحجة بالمولد اجينا، بولادة حيدر احنا مباركينه. إمام الكون جدك يا والينا. وأخوتها هاي النشامة فرحانة يا المهد الشيعة، فرحانة يا المهد الشيعة، يا المهد الشيعة، يا المهد الشيعة. أخوتها علي باسمك نباه الناصب ونخزيه، علي باسمك نباه الناصب ونخزيه، على عناد النواصب هالاسم نفديه. هلا بشيعة علي. شنو هاي؟ صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. علي باسمك نباه الناصب ونخزيه، على عناد النواصب هالاسم نفديه. هلا بشيعة علي، هلا بشيعة علي، والعن من يعاديه. وأخوتها هاي النشامة فجرونا ونوالي حيدر، فجرونا ونوالي حيدر، فجرونا ونوالي حيدر. علي 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 علي، you are the best of Allah's creation. English one, yeah? Ali Ali, you are the best of Allah's creation. After the Prophet, you are our salvation. 1400 years and you are our destination. 1400 years and you're our destination. Ya Ali, give us your light. Ya Ali, give us your light. يلا صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Another one? يلا. سعيد والله كذا.
Yeah, you want to repeat again? Yeah. Stand up for ziyarah inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا حبيبي يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين.